wonderful choir. Thank you so much for this possibility to cooperate and to sing my music. Thank you so much for this possibility to cooperate with this wonderful choir and with this wonderful conductor. It's a great possibility. I'm very glad to be here and to sing, to hear how you sing. Thank you so much.
I did tell Miss Iryna this will be the first read and such thing, but for the teachers, I share just a quick recap of the journey when I first wrote to Miss Iryna. Dr. Iryna was almost a year ago, and she had just left Kyiv, right, and was on her way to Spain. And so throughout the months of correspondence, I didn't think this would happen. But she's one persistent lady who got the ambassador to work for her. The Ukrainian ambassador to the U.S. who helped expedite her. Okay, yeah. So, and then she only got the approval to come to the United States on February 10, and then her passport on February 14. So that was 10 days ago that her passport got stamped for her to be able to come here and quickly buying the tickets and all of that, okay? We talked a little bit about the genesis of this piece, and we just want to make sure, fix our diction. I tried my best following your sound. But so, choir, let's open our score. And I want to take, when you talk about music as part of life, right? The theme of caritas that is woven through this entire program. Today marks 1 year. Was it yesterday or today? Yesterday. Today. Today it marks 1 year that Ukraine was attacked. And so it is a real opportunity, a real treasure for us to have one of its most outstanding composer in our midst to connect with our world, right? So even before we sing this piece, let's take a moment of silence. So respect for the many people who have needlessly died. So we use this moment to echo the words of this song. Holy God, holy mighty, holy immortal, have mercy. I know it's your first read with our violinist, but let's just give it our best shot. Okay. Remember where? Ellen, are you ready to go to that space? You're going to stand up. Please sit down, choir. For us to get to know composers from other countries, and we'd love to hear the Ukrainian first before it's translated to English. I love hearing different languages because it allows me to kind of pick up, it's like, tasting different kinds of food, right? Yeah. So we're adventurous and we just kind of look, and sometimes, in fact, I would go into places of worship, and if it's an Orthodox church or whatever, I sit there, I don't understand one word, but I hear in their sounds and, try to put myself in the shoes of its people. Okay, how many of, I know there's a gazillion of you that have not had your questions answered yet. So the ones who got your questions answered, now I'm going to try to get the others who've not had your questions answered. Oh, by the way, any among us from a Ukrainian heritage here? This morning we had somebody. Okay. Question. Okay. If you've not been called, okay, because I need to spread things out. If you've not been called, have you not been called? Okay. Stand up and use your classroom teaching voice.
So, what's it like for you to have international choirs perform your music? Is it kind of like an appreciated effort? Are you just infuriated that we keep butchering the language? What are your thoughts?
Я працюю з багатьма хорами з багатьох країн світу, і ніколи не виникало проблем з вимовою тексту.
She said she's worked with a lot of choirs all around the world, and she's never had issues with the pronunciation.
І сьогодні теж жодних проблем з вимовою.
And she said, and today is a case in point, no problems with the pronunciation.
Ви промовляєте як справжні українки.
You pronounce it like true Ukrainian women.
Ви молодці.
I can't translate that. Ви молодці is like,
Well done.
but you're awesome.
Yeah.
Next question. Let's see. All right, whoever, one hand back there, you're being volunteered. Stand up and speak loud.
What's your favorite part about composing music?
Я дуже люблю писати музику для хору, тому що мій тато був хормейстер, і я практично виросла в хорі. Я з 5 років акомпонувала хору мого батька, робила аранжементи і акомпонувала хору і робила аранжементи для того складу хору, який керував мій батько.
She said she loves composing, particularly for choirs, and that she was sort of born into choirs because her father was a chorus master. Just a regular sort of a choral director. So she grew up at age 5. She was already accompanying his choirs.
Але в мене є музика в багатьох жанрах, і в симфонічному жанрі, і в камерному жанрі, інструментальному. У мене також багато вокальної музики, вокальні цикли для сопрано, для меццо-сопрано, для баритону. Тобто я пишу практично музику у всіх жанрах.
But she's not limited to just choral music. She composes chamber music and orchestral music solo music for voices with instruments, and something she hasn't mentioned yet, I wanted to say some words that I should say. She is a phenomenal pianist and organist. She's won competitions as a pianist as well. Also, you can check her out on YouTube. She's got a YouTube channel, so there are all sorts of pieces by her you can listen to.
Я дуже хочу подякувати Америці і всьому американському народові за ту величезну підтримку, яку наразі вони надають Україні і українцям. У нас дуже багато біженців, які зараз живуть в Америці, і Америка надає велику допомогу Україні, за що я дуже вдячна.
She says she's extremely grateful to the United States for its tremendous support of Ukraine, and she said there are also so many refugees now within the United States who are being helped by American people, and she is deeply, deeply grateful.
Question. Back there? Yes, the hand. Yep.
Will you play something on the piano?
You caught her off guard. Whenever somebody says play something, it's like, something? What is something? Can you be more specific?
Я хочу сказати, що я граю багато у складі фортепіаного дуету з моїм чоловіком, і ми є лауреатами конкурсу фортепіаних дуетів в Майамі, Great Round Competition for Piano Duo.
She's particularly fond of playing duo piano with her husband, and they won competitions, one of which was in Miami.
У нас дуже багато записів на YouTube, тобто всі, хто хоче послухати, може набрати англійськими буквами Ірина Aleksiychuk або знайти мою персональну сторінку, де є вся інформація про мене як про композитора, як про виконавця, і ближче ознайомитись з тим, що я роблю.
You can check her out on YouTube. It has a lot of recordings there and a lot of information.
Okay, we're going to take a question from the soprano side. Yes.
Can you share with us something about your culture and how it influences your work?
How does your culture influence your work?
Я є український композитор, і тому в моїй музиці дуже сильно відчувається український народний мелос, українські народні інтонації, і навіть в назвах моїх творів дуже багато саме української тематики.
She says, I am a Ukrainian composer, and I draw a lot of inspiration from Ukrainian folk music. So a lot of the melodic lines have an influence from Ukrainian folk music. And yeah, she's written a lot of arrangements of Ukrainian folk songs. There is one that there's this Christmas piece that I hope you'll do it someday with your choirs, or you'll sing it sometimes. It's a mixture, you know, Ukrainian folk singing is more what they call hard voice, or in Ukraine they call it white voice. You know, that kind of sound that's very edgy. So she composes pieces that combine that sound with a more traditional choral sound, and it is off the charts, explosively phenomenal. So she draws on all those influences.
Я би хотіла сказати, що якщо ми згадаємо історію розвитку музики взагалі, то найбільш відомими композиторами були саме композитори, які були носіями своєї культури. Всі знають, що Ліст, наприклад, це угорська музика, Шопен – це польська музика, і українські композитори. І я намагаюся в своїй творчості бути так само амбасадором української музики в світі, щоб нести нашу культуру, бо наша культура дуже древня і вона дуже цікава. І нам є чим пишатися, і ми хочемо поділитися цією культурою з усіма країнами.
Yes. She says that she thinks that the best composers are the ones who are really rooted in their cultures. For example, Franz Liszt, you can hear intonations of Hungarian music. In Chopin, there's Polish music. so in her estimation, she draws on that the same way. And there's so much to be proud of in Ukrainian music because it's such an old culture. It goes back, I myself have been reading about it and researching it even more, especially because of this war. There's some claims that the culture there's no such thing as Ukraine, and that it's an invention of the last century, but actually it goes back way, way, way back, centuries if not millennia, and so that is where she draws all her inspiration.
Great question. Question? Okay, yes.
How is the view on arts and choral music, especially in Ukraine, how has it changed after the attack last year?
Yes. Question is, how has the scene of choral music changed in the last year, correct?
Ну, війна змінила не тільки хорову культуру, вона взагалі нас дуже змінила, тому що це повністю перевернуло наше життя. І в Україні дуже сильна хорова традиція, у нас багато прекрасних хорів, у нас багато композиторів, які пишуть прекрасну музику. І тематика, звісно, що війна вплинула на тематику наших творів і на настрій загальний цих творів.
She said, of course, the choral culture has changed because we have changed, or Ukrainians have changed. The war has turned their lives upside down, and so everything has changed right now. The choral scene, one cannot underestimate. I'm just going to elaborate on that. It's hard to overestimate how important choral singing is in Ukraine. I myself, when I went there one time in 1997, it had 4 full-time professional choirs. People made their living by singing at choirs, 4 in just the city of Kyiv. So it's a hugely important thing, and it has been for centuries. And in part, I think it's because the wealth, the money was not concentrated so much in Ukraine for symphony orchestras and that sort of thing. So much of the creativity was located within choral singing. Also, the war has changed things simply because the best choirs in Kyiv separated because refugees. I mean, they couldn't gather.
Я би ще хотіла сказати, що це вплинуло не тільки на нашу творчість, а це вплинуло на те, що у нас такі трагічні випадки. Я думаю, що ви чули про таку композиторку, як Ганна Гаврилець. Її виконують твори. Вчора я чула на концерті її твір. І у Ганни стався в перші дні війни серцевий напад. І за того, що Київ бомбардували дуже сильно, швидкі допомоги не працювали, і їй не змогли викликати швидку допомогу, і вона померла через те, що їй не надали допомогу. Це одна із наших видатних хорових, не тільки хорових композиторів. На жаль, війна вбиває і впливає не тільки на музику, але просто забирає життя.
So one of the most famous choral composers in Ukraine, her name is Hanna Havrilets, and there was a piece performed by her last night at a concert. There's so many casualties of this war in so many ways, and her death is tragic in that she had a heart attack in the very first couple days of the war when Kyiv was being bombed, and she lived in Kyiv. And because she had a heart attack, she could have lived, but there were no emergency services available because they were putting out literally so many fires all around the city that she could not get an ambulance to take her to the hospital, and she died because of that. So the loss of life during this war is in so many different ways, not just in battlefields, but it affects everyone's lives.
Question? Yes.
What was your experience like getting out of Ukraine?
What was her experience like getting out of Ukraine?
Коли почали бомбардувати всю Україну, я вирішила, я з Києва виїхала в Хмельницький, спочатку це місто, де живе моя мама, Але потім ми вирішили, що я з нашими 2 собаками поїду до свого брата, який на той момент жив в Братиславі. Але я вчила глибоко іспанську мову, і ми вирішили, що я переїду в Іспанію, тому що я добре розмовляю іспанською мовою. І сталося так, що мій брат також дуже важко переживав всі ці наші проблеми українські. Він постійно сидів в інтернеті, слухав це, і він раптово помер, тому що він не мав жодних проблем зі здоров'ям. Ми ще в суботу з ним розмовляли, а в неділю він помер, пішов з магазину, лишив продукти і помер в душі, просто без усіякої причини. І медики написали, що це просто раптова зупинка серця. Тобто я втратила брата, і він мені ще встиг знайти людину, яка мене напряму машиною відвезла з Братислави в Іспанію. Я виїхала в Іспанію 18 березня, брат помер 3
Okay, this is a very hard story. So she was near at her mother's house near Kyiv and decided to go to Bratislava. It's in Slovakia. It's the capital of Slovakia. So her brother had been living in this city in Slovakia, in Bratislava, for 30 years. So she decided to go there. But then she was thinking her Spanish language skills are very strong. I don't know, that's another great question. How is it that you speak Spanish so well? But she speaks Spanish well, so she thought she should go to Spain. And she speaks no Slovakian, so. But her brother was so overwrought by the war, even though he was not living in Ukraine and was not fighting on the front. And the mother had remained in Ukraine, and he was so worried about her that for no apparent reason, he was a healthy person. He was 59 at the time, and the only explanation that he was so stressed by the war and so heartbroken, he went to a store to just get some groceries, and on the way home he had a heart attack and died. So, he's the one who drove her from Bratislava to Spain. So it's from Bilbao. She moved there in early March, and he died in early April.
Я щаслива, що мені вдалося дістатись до моїх всіх партитур в Києві, тому що всі мої твори, які я сама набираю в програмі «Фінал», вони були в моєму комп'ютері в Києві. І я довгий час не мала до того доступу і дуже хвилювалася, що якась бомба може втрапити в мій будинок. І я втрачу повністю все те, що я написала за своє життя, але, на щастя, я змогла через віддалений доступ всі мої партитури отримати, і наразі маю їх зі мною.
She feels extremely fortunate in that she had been, at first because initially the bombing was in the city of Kyiv, as you might have seen in the news a year ago today. The first attacks, there were bombs flying into Kyiv. So she went to her mother's house, and she was worried that one of the bombs might have fallen on her apartment that included her computer, where all of her scores were. I mean, all of her life's work was in that computer, and luckily she was able to get back to Kyiv, and she feels very fortunate. She was able to retrieve her computer and retrieve all of her life's work. I'm just, again, I'm going to editorialize a little bit. The history of Ukraine, we're just, thank God for Pearl, and thank God you're doing this performance, because people don't know the riches of that culture, how much beautiful music comes from that part of the world. It's been hidden consciously by the country to the north of Ukraine, has been hiding this music, has been killing composers, has been setting fire to people's, exiling composers and then setting fire to all their music. In the current war, they are bombing museums, conservatories, theaters, concert halls, consciously, because they're trying to eradicate the culture. And some people have described this as a cultural genocide because, I'll just say his name once, Putin claims that there is no such thing as Ukrainian culture, and part of his mission is to destroy that culture so that his statement will be true. So we're so lucky that she's here, that her music has survived, and this is quite a moment. That Pearl.
Everybody. I'm very happy. I'm very happy too to be here. Yeah, that's true. Thank you so much, everybody.
I forgot to say one thing that's very important. When she left Ukraine, she left with her 2 dogs. So she has her dogs with her.
Це французькі бульдоги, дівчатка, одна жовта, друга блакитна. Це мій прапор України, який завжди зі мною.
She said they're French bulldogs, and they're 2 colors. One is sort of more like a yellowish color, and one of them is a darker color. And she thinks of them as blue, like a blue color, and she thinks of them as being the colors of Ukraine. She took the flag with her.
You know, when I was in college, undergrad, my piano teacher, his ancestry is Ukrainian Jewish. He was my piano teacher. Zabrak, Harold Zabrak. Yeah. He died of AIDS years later. But anyway.
She says it's remarkable how this world is truly so small that everybody knows somebody, you know, that some other person knows. There's always a connection there. And Pearl was just saying that her college piano teacher was Ukrainian of Jewish descent. And so we're all connected somehow.
Тепер моя сім'я збільшилась дуже сильно, тому що я маю всіх вас. Тепер ви всі моя сім'я.
She said that her own family has just gotten much bigger because you are all her family now. Thank you. Say something to Iryna right now. It's very quick, but you can say it to any Ukrainian and they will love you. There are 2 things we need to say right now. One is Slava Ukraini. Can you say that? Slava Ukraini, which means glory to Ukraine. And the reply is always, so that means glory to Ukraine, and then the response in Ukrainian will say is Heroyam Slava, which means glory to the heroes. Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава!